Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Dychronic, your host here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be taking a look at my top 13 things coming to Beyond Light. In essence, this video was made for people who are not really sure what's going on with Beyond Light, or they're not really sure what's exciting about Beyond Light, or they're really worried that they may miss something that's really big. Especially with Destiny 2, they like to hide a lot of things behind seasonal stuff. They like to hide things in very long-term pursuits that are in the end game, rather than just those 3 missions they release for story. So this video is going to round up everything that I know about from the 15 different twabs, the 10 different trailers that I watched and read, and I'm going to basically collate all that information in this video of my favorite 13 thing. And I gotta say, I am actually very excited for Beyond Light. There is a lot of content coming to Beyond Light, or at least what seems like a lot of content. Definitely been a drought since, Worthy and Arrivals having basically nothing to do. So Beyond Light is very exciting, and I hope you guys are excited too. And if there's something that is not on this list that you're excited about, let me know in the comments down below. And the last thing I wanted to mention before I get into the video is that if you have not yet purchased Beyond Light and you plan to purchase it on Steam, instead purchase it on Nexus. For the exact same price that you can find on Nexus, you can actually purchase Beyond Light, Shadowkey Forsaken, all that whatnot, give more of that money to the developers, i.e. Bungie, and part of that money to me, the creator. And because all of the keys on Nexus come directly from the developers themselves, they set their own prices and their own sales, just like we have on Steam, so they'll be pretty much the same prices, and of course they're not stolen keys, so they're not losing a lot of money to people on gray markets. So it's a win-win-win if you have not purchased Beyond Light, or if you want to purchase any of the other games on my Nexus store, you can do so in confidence that more of your money is going to where you want it. Moving on to the main section of the video, starting up at number 1, we have the new Stasis Subclasses. If you haven't heard, in Beyond Light, there's going to be a huge and major story development where us, the wielders of the light, the guardians of light, will be wielding the darkness with the new Stasis Subclasses. Now, we've been getting little tidbits information about this for a very long time. Gambit, Gambit Prime, Reckoning, Prophecy. We've been talking about how light and dark are not that dissimilar. Now, in this kind of thing, it's always the question of whether this is going to corrupt us, whether this means that we will not return to the light side, we will do something for the darkness that we don't want to do. But in the end, as far as gameplay goes, it has been a very long time since we've had a new subclass, since Forsaken actually. So 2 years out of the 6 years Destiny series has been alive, we haven't had something new, so I'm looking forward to that. And there's going to be 1 new subclass per class, which is exciting because we may see more of these subclasses over either the year or in the next year. And with that, there's also going to be some changes to the way subclasses work. At least the darkness subclasses, you're going to have more choices of the different pieces of your subclass. Instead of selecting a whole tree, it looks like you can select each different piece of those different perks. We don't know yet if that is going to apply to the other subclasses as well, but we do know it's going to apply to the darkness ones. Coming up at number 2, we have the new exotic armors and guns. Now, it seems like there's 4 new guns and 3 new exotics per class. A lot of these things look very interesting. We have some returning things like Hawkmoon and No Time to Explain. We have some really interesting ones like Cloud Strike. The sniper, if you get a headshot, it ricochets to a nearby enemy, which can lead to some pretty cool collaterals. We've seen some crazy things, like for example, Necrotic Grips, allowing poison from melee kills with a Warlock, might be usable with Celestial Fire. We've seen Iceful Mantle that turns your barricade into an overshield. There's a lot of crazy things coming to this DLC, and I'm looking forward to getting a lot of them. Seems like most of them are going to be part of the exotic engrams, and some of them might be tied to a specific exotic quest. Coming up at number 3, the Adept weapons from Trials. Now, we've seen Adept weapons in Destiny 1, these weapons that had specific advantage in either statistics or perks over all the weapons that are around them, allowing you to edge out the endgame in PvP and sometimes even in PvE. Now, we've seen stuff like this in Destiny 2 before. The ritual or pinnacle weapons, things like Recluse, Mountaintop, had specific advantages around everything around them. The problem being, this is power creep, meaning that Recluse was better than every other SMG in almost every single way and had everything you'd ever want in an SMG. So it became the question is, how do you release a new SMG to replace Recluse without just making it better? So Adept weapons definitely worry me. However, they're doing things a little bit differently and only giving them statistical advantage to these Adept weapons. So you're going to be seeing specifically a scout rifle, perhaps with a lot better handling, which is nice, but maybe not game breaking. So hopefully it ends up working out pretty well. Coming up at number 4 is going to be a major advancement to the story. Every single year we get a big advancement in the major DLC, pretty much every September, or in this instance, November, where we get to finally see what all of this stuff has been leading to. You know, we've seen things from the Stranger in Destiny 1, where she's popping in and out almost like she's time traveling, guiding us to a correct journey. We see the Drifter in Gambit, Gambit Prime, Reckoning, Prophecy, gathering things for the agents of the Nines, gathering the energy of Taken into a machine. We see Eris talking to the darkness in Shadowkeep, talking to the darkness in Arrivals to that tree, and now we see all 3 of these people come together on Europa to see this new and exciting revelation of story. If you haven't seen a Bife video on lore, you really owe it to yourself to take a look, because this story in Destiny 2 is way deeper than they show you in the cutscenes. From things that are as small as the fact that ogres are just oversized and cursed thralls, to the overarching story of how light and darkness are interdimensional beings and we're just pawns in their war. The story in Destiny 2 is deep and fascinating. You owe it to yourself to keep in mind everything that's going on in Europa and in Beyond Light in the whole scheme of the story. And with that, there's also going to be seasonally releasing missions and new exciting environments in Europa and the return of the Cosmodrome. Coming up at number 5 is going to be the new seasonal activity, the Empire Hunts. Now, we first saw this on the release calendar they showed us on their TWAB. This seems like very similar to things like the Forges or Nightmare Hunts, where we're going to be hunting down specific enemies. Specifically, there's the Nightmare Hunts and the Wrathbore Hunts, which implies that we're going to be chasing down the cohorts of Aramis and Xivu Arath. Now, we don't currently know what these events and stuff are going to be like, but I imagine they're going to give us more information soon. Coming up at number 6 is going to be the new raid, Deep Stone Crypt. Now, we don't really know anything about this new raid. Bungie loves to keep raids very close to the chest. However, there are a few things we do know. Firstly, we know that the raid is going to release on November 21st, which is the second Friday after the release of Beyond Light. Most likely, there's going to be the same scheme as before, where the level of the raid is going to be about the maximum level, so 1250 or 1260, and of course, you can get higher than that with the artifact. And with that, there's also probably going to be the day 1 contest mode, where everybody was going to be limited 25 below the level requirement of that particular activity part, so that everybody has a equal chance to be able to do the raid. And most likely, we're going to be getting more information about the raid, the different rewards, the day 1 emblems, the jackets, and the race, and the belt, and all that whatnot next Thursday following the release of Beyond Light. Coming up at number 7 is going to be the Destiny content vaulting. Now, many people see this as a bad thing. Many people will miss out on a lot of things from the past, but removing a lot of content will drastically reduce the size of the game files and improve loading times across the board. Now, admittedly, Beyond Light is adding about the same amount of memory requirement as they're removing with the DCV, but that means there's not going to be a ridiculous loading time on the tower. Now, if you play on console, you know what I'm talking about. You don't want to go to the tower unless you really need to go to the tower. If you only have 15 minutes to play, you don't want to spend it on approach to the tower. And by removing a lot of content, it's going to reduce a lot of loading time. Coming up at number 8, in case you were worried about those Destiny content vault stuff going away, don't worry, because there's going to be a new thing called the Exotic Archive and the Xur editions. In Destiny 2 Beyond Light, there's going to be a kiosk in the tower for acquiring past unobtainable exotics and pursuit weapons. So my assumption is that if you're missing Anarchy, Thorn, Sturm, Mountaintop, or Clues, anything that is unobtainable by Beyond Light, it will be obtainable through this kiosk. Obviously through a very expensive mean of Ascendant Shards, Prisms, and exotic ciphers, but they will be obtainable. And with that, Xur will also offer some special things next season, including weekly opportunities to get exotic ciphers to use on those things from the kiosk or from the Xur himself. Coming up at number 9 are going to be these Sandbox Changes. Now, there are a lot of Sandbox Changes coming in Beyond Light. I'm not going to highlight every single one of them. I'm not going to go into huge detail, but a lot of these are going to be very big. For example, the 110 hand cannons are changing over to a 120 RPM, meaning that they're a lot more usable on top of just a lot of hand cannons getting a big range boost. The 150 RPM hand cannons are all moving and collapsing into 140 RPM hand cannons, meaning the 150 RPM time to kill is going to be removed from the game. The 600 RPM auto rifles are also being nerfed, meaning they'll take one more bullet in Crucible, meaning that their time to kill is no longer absolutely insane. Sniper aim assistance is going to be tied more to the sight's range, so having a longer range sight, meaning you have more aim assistance. A big one that I'm personally looking forward to is better aim assistance cones for scout rifles. If you did not know, the scout rifle's time to kill is very similar to a lot of other things in the game. Even though they have really long range, the 150 RPM scout rifle has the exact same optimal time to kill as the 150 RPM hand cannon. And with the 150 RPM hand cannons going out, the 150 scout rifles with the better aim assistance cone are going to be a lot stronger, especially considering the main problem with scout rifles is that they don't really do well at close range. They have bad handling, bad aim assistance in close range, and that may change pretty well for them in Beyond Light. And there's a lot of other miscellaneous stuff as well. More reserve ammo for rocket launchers, mountaintop nerf on velocity and splash damage, falling guillotine damage nerf. There's a lot of things going on Beyond Light, a lot of changes that'll change a lot of my spreadsheets. Coming up at number 10 is going to be a new power level cap. Pretty much everyone loves to grind out levels, and Beyond Light is going to be introducing an additional 200 power levels to gain. On top of that, I think that they said something about all weapons in the vault and your inventory are all going to be brought up to 1050, meaning that a lot more things will be usable. And with that as well, there's also going to be some changes to powerful rewards to give people more rewards for repeating the same activity in a week. So if you only ever play Crucible, you only ever get like 3 different powerful rewards a week. Apparently they're going to make some changes so you can get more powerful rewards from doing the activities that you want to do, instead of forcing you to do things you don't want to do. Coming up at number 11 are going to be the armor mod changes. Now there are a lot of changes to armor mods, so bear with me, we're just going to rattle off a bunch of different things. First up, enhanced mods are going to be removed from the games, and the base mods are going to be as effective as the enhanced mods are now. Their price is going to be between the base mod now and the enhanced mods now, which means in the end, we're going to have more points to use on what we want to use. And with that, some mods are also going to be moving around. Things like dexterity are going to be moving to the arms. As a controller player, that's very important because I'm always forced to have recovery, traction, and special ammo finder on my boots, and I never have room for dexterity. Another big thing is that weapon-based mods are becoming any type instead of their specific type. Things like hand cannon, sidearm, and sniper are no longer going to be void-based, they're going to be any type, which in the end will give us more freedom of the types of armors we have. If you really wanted momentum transfer, but you didn't want to use an arc piece of gear, which I think is actually arc, you now can do that while still using a hand cannon. Another big thing is they're going to be changing the anti-enemy mods to only work in their respective raid. For example, the anti-taken mods can only work in the Last Wish raid. And this is actually something that's very good. I know a lot of you guys have been grinding out Crown of Sorrows and grinding out Scourge of the Past and even Last Wish to get those taken armors, to get those taken armor stuff, which really helps out in the prophecy, but it creates a huge divide in things like Gambit and Gambit Prime. Being able to guarantee that you get heavy ammo from a grenade kill is such a huge advantage in Gambit and really separates those who have and those who have not. Personally, as somebody who has all of these mods, I think this is a very good change. There's also going to be a new combat style mod socket in Beyond Light, where you can use Charge of Light or Warmind cells in these sockets for a total of 5 mod sockets, allowing you to use a lot more Charge with Light and Warmind cells when you have multiple slots per armor to use these things on. And with that, exotics and old raid armors are also getting this slot, allowing you to use Charge with Light or Warmind cells on these armor pieces. And because all of the enhanced mods are going out the window, and generally we're going to have cheaper sets of mods for the same effect, we're going to have more space for this mod socket. And finally, Ghosts are also getting an Armor 2.0 style sockets for better customization, which in my opinion is kind of like whatever, but they're doing it. Coming up at number 12, we have the return of Pursuit weapons. Pursuit weapons are things like Recluse, Mountaintop, 21% Delirium, stuff with a very specific advantage over a lot of other weapons, and things that you can pursue over the course of the season for a long-term quest. Now, they've actually not done a Pursuit weapon for quite some time. They realized these Pursuit weapons were just too strong. They had big power creep over other weapons, so they trended towards regular type weapons. If you remember the Komodo, you probably don't because it really sucked. Nobody liked it. Nobody wanted it. There was no reason to pursue it, so they wanted to make a new, better system. Hopefully in Beyond Light, the new sniper rifle they've been talking about is worth the grind, but not way too powerful. And on top of that, they're giving us more choice on how we pursue this weapon. No longer are we forced to play Crucible for a PvE weapon if we don't want it. There's 3 different options this time. You can either go through the Strike, Gambit, or Crucible line to get the base model of the weapon, so everyone can have the model of the weapon any way they want it. And from there, you can play the 3 different activities to get the different types of ornaments for that gun. So if you wanted the red ornament, you gotta play the Crucible. If you want the green one, Gambit, and blue for Strike. Which I do think is a good thing in a good direction, but honestly, the number of times I've heard people complain about like, oh, I have to play PvE to get a PvP weapon. Come on, man. That's just how the game works. And finally, at number 13, probably my favorite thing on this list is gonna be the dark login screen. Like, oh my god, yes. Obviously, this is very minor, but like logging into Destiny 2 nearly every day and just being blinded by the white screen when we've been wanting a dark screen for a while, it was just really funny to see in one of the twabs saying that there's literally gonna be a new dark screen login screen, and it was literally a bullet point on the list. I thought was really interesting, and it's gonna be good. But yeah, that is going to be pretty much the end of the video. I know this one's a bit of a long one, but I did want to express the different details of how important and exciting a lot of these things were, and I do hope that you guys did enjoy. If there's something that I missed that you think was very important that's coming to Beyond Light, that's very exciting, let me know in the comments down below, because I'm excited to hear about it. And to reiterate, if you have not yet purchased Beyond Light and you're going to purchase it on Steam for the exact same price as Steam, you can purchase it on my Nexus page, which gives more money to Bungie, more money to me, the creator, and no money to the people who steal keys, and no money to Steam, which is always a good thing. And only because they're absolutely rich as hell. Not because I think Steam is bad, but they're rich as hell. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. I do hope you guys did enjoy. My name's been Dychronic, and I will see you guys in Beyond Light.